हे हाय, मैं हूं अक्षय कुरेकर, अ ब्लॉकचेन डेवलपर। आपका मेरे यूट्यूब चैनल पे स्वागत है। सो वेलकम टू द न्यू सीरीज विच इज ब्लॉकचेन स्टोरेज वॉल्ट एपिसोड 3। अभी तक पहले हमने देखा है व्हाट इज अवर आर्किटेक्चर, प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट देख लिया हमने, प्रोजेक्ट इनिट देख लिया, वी हैव डाउनलोडेड ऑल द रिक्वायर्ड टूल्स एंड प्रीरिक्विजिट सॉफ्टवेयर्स। सो नाउ लेट्स गेट इनटू द हैंड्स ऑन। आज हम देखेंगे व्हाट इज द backend architecture and what all are APIs and databases we are going to database tables, schemas, and modules we are going to create in this project. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started with our backend. If you remember, in previous videos, we have created two folders. Uh, we have set up our project directory, which we call as secure storage, and inside that we have created client and server. Right. So these all are empty folders for now. So now we are going to get started with the backend. So we are we will code all our backend in server folder, and all our client will be treated as our front end. Right. So let's create one readme file here. Readme file. Read file. readme.md. In this readme file, what we're gonna do, we'll set up what are the database tables we're gonna use and what are the APIs we're gonna use in our complete backend. So let's get started with the, let's say this is our backend. Okay. And in backend, first we will see database. What are the database tables we're gonna create? Database table. So problem statement, right? So we have vault in our web page. We are going to create a one vault. We can call it as a vault or wallet as well. Inside that wallet, we are going to store the credentials, and for one users, we are going to create multiple vaults. So for sure, we need a table to store that vault data, right? So we will going to create a table called vault list, or simply we can call it as vaults, right? So for now we can call it as vault only, right? In vault, what exactly we're gonna store, what are their attributes? We're gonna store in vault is like very first ID, of course ID, and then the name of the vault, and we are going to secure that vault with some password. So we can give password, and then description if you want. I can say DESC, description short form. Okay. So this is our database name as a vault, and ID, name, password, description is our columns or attributes, we can say. So next we need another table to store credentials, right? Credentials, we can give a name of credentials, and then in credentials, what will be our attributes? First one will be the ID for sure, and the second one we will store it as VID, that we can call it as a vault ID, right? We are going to store. Now why we need this vault ID? This will treat it as a foreign key for us. We can treat it as foreign key, and of course ID will be treating as my primary key. I hope you know what is foreign key and primary key. If you don't know, don't worry, I'll explain you a simple definition. Primary key in the sense it will remain a unique uh, in the complete table, and we cannot repeat it, that we call it as a primary key. And foreign key is nothing but the relationship between the one table and the another table. So now here we have vault table. This ID will be adding into the credentials, so we can map. Let's say we have one vault, and inside that one vault how many credentials we have stored. So that we are trying to do here, mapping inside vault. Let's say I can then filter out this particular credential based on this VID, vault ID. I'll show you how can we do that while we doing programming. Okay, but for now I hope you understand foreign key is just a relationship between the one table and the other another table, one to many relations we have set up here. For one vault we can have multiple credentials, right? That's why we need VID, and then we need another attribute called credentials. Credential, and inside that credential is attribute. It is a data type of text, we can give as a text. And what exactly we are going to store in that text, we are storing as a JSON object, and that JSON object could be a name, and we need CID. Why this CID? What is the CID? CID, now this concept will come in. This is a content identifier. Content identifier comes with the IPFS tip. Whenever we are going to upload any particular file or media file or any JSON object on IPFS, it will give us a CID, a content identifier, right? So that content identifier we're gonna put track it in our database here in SQL ID with respect to credentials along with the name of that credential. And in future we can change this object. That's why we are not restricting it in our table. We are restricting it. We are not at all restricting actually. Just we are assigning the assigning the attributes here. We have just credential attribute. I think this is a little confusing. So what we can do, we can remove this. It's a text type, and I can define here like this. Credential will be like credential is equal to fauna this thing. Hmm? I didn't cut it. Yeah, credential could be equivalent to this. It's an example. Now it is a JSON object. It could be JSON object. It could be like this. Name could be. It will come something XYZ XYZ, and CID would be something my hash, right? Right there. So it will be like this. So this is my database structure. Okay, I hope you got this. It's Vault, very simple. In Vault we are tracking ID, name, password, description. This all will be a data type of text. That's why I have not mentioned it. And here it will be the credentials of ID. Then this is VID. It's like it will be treated as a foreign key of Vault. And then it's a credential will be the text, but in text itself we will treat it as a JSON object, and then inside the credential we're gonna store this particular object. Okay, I hope I'm pretty much clear till this point. Now let's have a look what all APIs we're gonna create. Now let's get started with the APIs. So API, we can call it as API list, or we can call it as endpoints. So this will be our REST APIs, right? So what we need a backend APIs to serve on our front end. Let's say for what we need, very first get all vaults, right? Create vault, create credential, or we can call it as add credential in the vault. And we have update credential, update vault, delete delete vault, or delete credential. These type of all APIs we want to create. So let's list those APIs one by one. So very first I must say get all credential, or get all vaults, and then we can say list out get all credentials, get all credentials. Now with respect, now let's try to get all the APIs related to vaults only. So let hit enter, and let's give what we need. We need create vault, and then we can say update vault. Exactly what we are going to do while creating. So we can add our body as well here. So we can add, this will be my post request. We can mention what exactly we need. This is my post request. In post request, what I'm going to pass as a parameter, the name of my vault and password along with the description. This will be my body for the that particular post request, and this is my get request, so I don't need to give anything. For update will be my put request, right? Or we can make it as post as well, but I don't want to make you confused, guys, so we can keep it as simply put. But with respect to ID input, we have to mention the ID and at what ID you want to update. So update vault at ID this, and then input we will give a same body as name. Password means I want to update a name or password or description. This will be my update vault. and then we have a last delete vault. So for delete also I need a id on for which particular entry you want to delete, and this will be my delete method. And here I didn't need to pass any body, no body, we don't require any body, right? So now for let's go do same thing for credentials as well. So we need get all credentials. So how can we get all credentials? We are simply, because credentials are tied up with the vault id, right? So of course we can create one api to get all the credentials from all the wallet, but we need a one another api which is get credential by vault id. Okay, this is the api which is very important for us, and here we will going to pass vid, and this will be my post method, right? So post method in my body, what I'm going to pass, I can pass simply, no sorry, no need to make it as post, this will be the get. And in my url itself I can pass vid. Based on this vault id I can make a search and I can give a result in a response, the list of, it will going to throw us a list of credentials. Now we are done with the credentials. We got the credential based on the wallet. So we don't need to get credential one by one, because uh, get all, yeah, when we are going to get all the credentials by vault, we'll get the each and every object, right? So whenever we want to display it on our front end, we are going to display in list, so we have that data already, so we don't need a specific entry. So we are not going to write a api to get credential by id function, right? So we can, instead of that we can say update method, update credential, update credential by id. Now this id is my credential id, right? So here I need to give id simply. And what will be my body? uh Body will be like what we are doing. You can check here what we are doing in credential. We have id. So what do you need to do? We are not allowing user to update their vid. What we will allow to update only credentials text. Inside credential they can change their name or a cid. So simply we can say they can update only their credential attribute, right? And not anything other than that. So to be very specific, body will look like this, and name would be anything like credential xyz, and then here will be my cid. I want to update the cid, and here will be like a hash. But here we miss one thing. Here we need, before that update, we need to create a credential as well. So I just copy the syntax completely and I will call it as simply create credential. Create credential will be my post request. This will be post, and inside credential I need to pass here vid for sure, vault id. This will be treating as my foreign key, and then this will be treated as a credential. So yeah, this will be my complete body for post request, and this will be my update. This will be the put request. That's why we can pass id in a url itself. Now we have done with the get all credentials, get credential by vault id, create credential, update credential. Now once remain delete credential. Delete credential by id. We are now going to create a credential one by one. We are not allowing a bulk delete, so we are not going to delete all the vault. So simply we need a one method to delete credential by id, and here we are going to pass the vault id only, and this is my delete method. Delete method, right? And we don't need any body. So These all are APIs we're gonna create for vault and credentials. Just we missed one API. We need one more API to get a vault details by ID. So we need get vault by ID. Yeah, this one we need. Why we need this API? Because we need to get a specific entry details of the vault, so we can compare the password, and then once the password is checked done, then we can allow credentials to list it out, right? So for that we need a specific entry of that particular vault. So for that we need this one entry. So here we need to pass my vault ID, and this will be my get method with no body, right? So yeah, this is all about this video. I hope you understand this database structure and API list. So now from next video onwards, we will going to set up our SQLite database. We'll create all SQL queries for this our vault and credential tables. And after that, we're gonna write all the different routes with respect to these APIs you in Golang. I'm very super excited. Let's see you in next video. This video by Rekha Akshay Manohar. Jai Hind.